sudden impact, and scorching flames.
I thought, am I gonna die?
A fiery crash nearly kills a racing legend.
Thank God I made it through.
But for driver-turned-airline owner Niki Lauda, a more devastating accident is still to come.
I had a phone call from the news. They said one of your airplanes crashed.
We just couldn't find the smoking gun.
Austria's famous champion defies conventional wisdom.
If they had lost only 10%, they would still be here.
Fights to uncover the truth.
It's my name, my airplane, my crash.
And discovers a new and widespread threat to modern aviation.
You need a little bit of rudder trim to the left, huh?
What's that?
You need a little bit of rudder trim to the left.
Okay.
Captain Thomas Welch and First Officer Josef Thurner are flying a Boeing 767 from Bangkok, Thailand to Vienna, Austria. The flight is operated by Lauda Air, the brainchild of famed Austrian Formula One driver Niki Lauda.
For me, it was a logical step after retiring from racing to start in this kind of business. And that's what I did with Lauda Air.
Throughout the 70s, Lauda dominated Formula One racing.
Niki was the best driver in his days.
Niki Lauda's Ferrari still in the lead.
I think Niki is the best-known Austrian since Mozart.
And that's how they finish. Niki Lauda takes the flag.
He won the World Championship 3 times, then used his fame to launch a new career and a new airline.
One of the main reasons was to give the passengers a different way of flying, better service, better food. The airplane had to look in a certain way.
The Lauda Air 767 is less than 15 minutes into its 11-hour flight to Vienna. It's a route Niki Lauda knows firsthand because he's not just the owner of the airline. He's also one of its pilots.
When you run a company and you fly, it's very simple. Because when you are with your passengers, then you know what is going on. You can look yourself what the problems are, and I corrected things quicker in that way.
Capture 13, 5 plus 18, reserve is 20.
In the cockpit, Captain Welch and First Officer Thurner monitor their instruments, while the autopilot controls the climb. Suddenly, the plane begins dropping from the sky.
Christ! Here, wait a minute. Oh, damn it.
The pilots have lost control. Lauda Flight 4 is plummeting to Earth. The plane slams into a remote jungle, 110 miles northwest of Bangkok.
I was at home and I had a phone call from the news station here in Vienna, and they said one of your airplanes crashed.
When rescuers arrive, it's immediately obvious that there's no one to be rescued. All 213 passengers and 10 crew members are dead.
The airplane took off at 16:01 UTC. There was no fault or whatever reported from the pilots. The airplane flew about 20 to 25 minutes and then suddenly disappeared off the radar screen. So we have no indication whatsoever happened to the airplane.
It's the first time a Boeing 767 has ever crashed. The loss of a US-made aircraft prompts quick action from the National Transportation Safety Board. The NTSB immediately sends veteran investigator Bob McIntosh to Thailand.
A first crash of an aircraft that was in service intercontinentally for almost a decade with a perfect service record. It was extremely important for us to learn what had happened.
223 people are dead, and one of the world's most popular planes lies in pieces in a remote Thai jungle.
Most of the territory was mountainous, very tropical type territory. We recognized that we were going to have a major challenge trying to identify all the components.
The difficult terrain isn't the only problem the investigators are facing.
There were numerous local folks around, and unfortunately, they were not controlled by the local police. There was looting and treasure hunting going on around the crash site.
First thing we got to do is put a stop to that.
Looters are swarming the wreckage. Vital evidence is in danger of disappearing.
It was of great concern to us that critical parts might have been taken away from the site simply by folks who didn't understand the criticality of that evidence.
The badly burned wreckage is strewn over a square mile of rough terrain.
We were confronted with what appeared to be evidence of an in-flight breakup, in that the major components, the cockpit, the tail, the main body, they were scattered far enough apart that certainly they had not come down together.
The large field of debris leaves McIntosh with little doubt. The 767 broke up in mid-air, not when it hit the ground. What could have caused that?
So it sounded like an explosion.
Witnesses say the plane blew up and came down engulfed in flames. The evidence is pointing to a troubling possibility. Lauda Air Flight 4 was brought down by a deliberate act of sabotage.
There was a lot of speculation about the possibility of a terrorist act affecting the aircraft.
Glad to have you on board. Let me show you where we're at so far. This is Fred.
Boeing sends its own investigator to Thailand. Kevin Darcy has an intimate knowledge of the 767. He helped design the plane. He too suspects this could be a case of foul play.
It is pretty unusual for an accident to occur on the early climb-out portion of the flight. My initial thought was that it was some sort of sabotage or a missile or something like that.
It's been just 3 months since Western